Welcome to the OG community where curiosity is encouraged and questions are explored. Here, we look at hidden history, symbolism, world events, and mysteries that make people stop and think. Every video is an opportunity to examine new ideas from different perspectives and start conversations, well, frankly, many people are afraid to have. Here, we touch on the debate of Jesus Christ. But before we get into this video, let's make sure everybody is hitting that bell notification. Everybody stopping through with the OG community is joining the OG community. So hit that subscribe button. It's just one click away. But those who are already subscribed, let's not forget to hype these videos up. This is going to allow our video to get out to the masses so everybody can join us here in the OG community. Stay curious, stay aware, and always think for yourself. Now let's begin.
The Black Jesus story was probably one of the most shocking things I ever heard. In the 1960s, there was a black man in Africa who came in with abilities complementary to those of Jesus. He was performing miracles. He was starting to get people to listen to what he had to say, and the cabal tried to kill him. And remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed, and I ended up putting it in the book anyway.
You don't want black people to know that they have extraterrestrial ancestry.
Right, and you were being told that black people didn't serve.
Didn't serve in the space program.
Right, and there were people from all races.
Right, very interesting. You don't want black people to know that they have extraterrestrial ancestry.
Right, and you were being told that black people didn't serve.
Didn't serve in the space program.
Right, and there were people from all races.
Right, very interesting.
Black Jesus story was probably one of the most shocking things I ever heard. It came from my insider, Jacob, I call him that in the book, who actually was working for the Rothschilds and still does. And also is a whistleblower who doesn't really do what they want but continues to work for them because he feels like there's some very serious extraterrestrial threats to Earth and that what they're doing is very necessary to protect us. So the story goes that in the 1960s there was a black man in Africa who came in with abilities complementary to those of Jesus. And he was performing miracles. He was starting to get people to listen to what he had to say. And the cabal tried to kill him. And, you know, they could shoot him in the head and his skull would just regenerate and the flesh would grow back and he was fine. And, you know, so the crazy story that I heard, which, and remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed. And I ended up putting it in the book anyway. The story was that this guy, you know, they finally said, okay, we're going to bring you to the United Nations and share your message with the world. Let's get you on this flight. They bring him on this flight, and instead of bringing him to the United Nations, they shot him repeatedly, and then actually had some kind of meat grinder device, and basically like a bandsaw, I guess, and sawed up his body into a whole bunch of pieces, put him in these very like radioactive shielded containers, and then had all these fighter jets dock with the plane and fly his body parts to all corners of the world, where then these containers turned them into ash. And they thought that maybe this would defeat him, like that his body somehow, the tissue was necessary. So if they destroyed all the tissue in all these places across the world, maybe they could defeat him. Well, he then regenerated in their offices and was fully fine, fully intact. But the sad part is that he said, you know, you guys so badly do not want me to be here that I am not going to be able to do any more. You're going to get what you want, but bear in mind that in the future, many others like me will be coming, and when they do, you will not be able to stop us.
Wow. Wow. Well,
that is all I know. Unfortunately,
right.
There's nothing more to the story than that.
Incredible.
But it is an incredible story.
Incredible.
David Wilcock, he knew the truth about black people. He understood that there was a metaphysical symbiotic connection between black people's DNA and how it's able to interface with these ultra-terrestrials who are interdimensional, outer-dimensional, extraterrestrial entities that come from a different star system, which are basically the same entities that the 12 scientists were also talking about, the ones that came up missing. So there's a metaphysical connection to everything that's taking place when it comes to the unaliving of David Wilcock and the 12 scientists missing. Now, here's a video back from 2012 where David Wilcock said verbatim that he will be unalived for putting out information talking about Simeon Toko, a man who had the abilities of Jesus, a man from Africa. And he said that he will be unalived for putting out this information inside of his book.
The crazy story that I heard, which, and remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed. And I ended up putting it in the book anyway. The story was that this guy, they finally said, okay, we're going to bring you to the United Nations and share your message with the world. Let's get you on this flight. They bring him on this flight, and instead of bringing him to the United Nations, they shot him repeatedly, and then actually had some kind of meat grinder device, and basically like a bandsaw, I guess, and sawed up his body into a whole bunch of pieces. These very like radioactive shielded containers, and then all these fighter jets dock with the plane and fly his body parts to the corners of the world. And then these containers turn them into ash. And they thought that maybe this would defeat him, like that his body somehow, the tissue was necessary. So if they destroyed all the tissue in all these places across the world, maybe they could defeat him. Well, he then regenerated in their offices.
Now, when you get into the esoterics and the conspiracy of it, David Wilcock, he died on 4/20 at age 53. So from April 20th all the way up until the time of June 12th of 2026, that's 53 days apart exactly. And that's when the movie Disclosure Day comes out on June 12th. So from June 12th all the way back to April 20th is exactly 53 days apart, and David Wilcock was unalived at age 53. There's an esoteric connection with that. And then when you look at the movie cover of Disclosure Day, it's the same deer that was on Leave the World Behind. So there's a metaphysical connection with that.
So not only did David Wilcock say that people wanted him dead, UFO researcher David Wilcock gave one of the reasons why people wanted him dead. So I went down this rabbit hole. And if the information that this man put out to the world is true, then I really do not believe that this man took his own life. David Wilcock knew some things that he was not supposed to know. And the information that he wasn't supposed to know about wasn't just about aliens and UFOs. David Wilcock had some information on black people. David Wilcock had information about a black Jesus. You ever heard of the name Simeon Toko? Well, if you haven't, just know that David Wilcock had information on this man. David Wilcock wasn't supposed to put out the information that he had on this man, but he put that information out. Listen to this shit. I need you to listen to this.
In the 1960s, there was a black man in Africa who came in with abilities complementary to those of Jesus.
Listen.
And he was performing miracles. He was starting to get people to listen to what he had to say.
Listen.
And the cabal tried to kill him, and, they could shoot him in the head, and his skull would just regenerate.
You heard that?
Grow back, and he was fine. And, so the crazy story that I heard, which, and remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed.
I'm not going to play the rest of that video, but just know it's way more information in the rest of that video. Just know that the things that they did to Simeon Toko after they found out he possessed those powers, that's in that video. David Wilcock told everything in that video. He told the story about the man that they was calling Black Jesus. He had information that they didn't want people to have. And all of a sudden, this man allegedly takes his own life. Yeah, okay. Pay attention.
Putin reveals to the world a secret that European has been hiding from African for more than a millennium, that Jesus was black.
That's crazy. How does Russia have evidence of a black Jesus that we don't even have here in the United States? It seems like everybody has our history but us. Everybody has a piece of it. Now I understand why they try to beat us down, talk bad on us, act like we're the face of welfare when we're not. Anybody could go and look up the numbers and see who's getting more government assistance, even dated back to the 1940s. Who's been getting government assistance all this time? But yet they try to put black people as the face of all these negative things. We commit all these crimes. But if you look at the numbers, you'll see who committing all the crime. We have none of our history. Russia has our history. The Vatican has our history. Everybody has our history but us. The question I want to know is, why don't they want us to know our own history? That's the biggest question we should all be asking. From the white people to the Hispanics to black people. Why don't the world want us to know our own history, our own lineage? Things are starting to come out, but it's been held from for many, many, many years. But why? What harm would it be for us to know our own history? For y'all to give us these things that y'all are hiding from us for thousands and hundreds of years? It doesn't make sense. But let's get to the next part.
Opened its cellars to reveal remarkable paintings of Jesus dating back to the 1400s. Have you ever seen or heard of biblical icons where Jesus or the Virgin Mary have dark skin? Or even Abraham or King David? Then look beyond Europe. Russia has opened its vaults to reveal biblical icons featuring darker skinned figures. In case this is making you wonder if Russia has its own twist on biblical figures, the answer is a no. This is not the case at all. This is, a matter of fact, as real as the untouched horizon of time. These icons aren't just artistic anomalies. These hold deep meanings of hidden shaded truths, sparking serious, curious questions about history and faith, representation, and the unexpected corners of religious art. Pay close attention, amazing people. You are just about to hear it today, like it is, in this video. In the Bible that the Americans turned white when they told the stories to us. But Russians didn't get the memo. They went off for real history. Songs of Solomon. USA is also a great deceiver, and so many people inherit the wrong lesson from their great-grandparents and their parents, to the point where it's so deep that the lie is made true when the real answer is really just right there. But you never look, because why would you?
San Angelo in Rome is currently hosting an exhibition of 40 Russian icons that have left their country for the first time. They are pieces of art that were hidden after the October Revolution of 1917 in order to protect them from anti-religious destruction.
There's been so much debate going on around the world of late, bestirred by the unveiling of these black biblical icons. Some tend to think that the icons had blackened over time due to age, while others say that the blackness of the icons has nothing to do with age but are a measure of accuracy meant to depict the actual color of the skins of the people.
Has decided to move one of Russia's holiest icons from a museum to a Moscow cathedral. This arises a debate around Putin's growing reliance on the church.
Emphasizing on the importance of the holy icon,
you see how Russia keep their old architecture too.
Rublev's Trinity be transferred to the Russian Orthodox Church from Moscow's Tretyakov Gallery for a year. The relocation of Russia's most well-known icon highlights how closely the war has intertwined politics and religion. The icon depicts the oak of Mamre, where the three angels visited Abraham in the book of Genesis.
Did you notice anything about these icons on display? They are all black. Icons dating back to the 14th century brought together from private collections across Russia. Rare and strongly challenging masterpieces, most of which were destroyed during the Soviet era.
It's very beautiful. It gives you goose pimples. It's a remarkable exhibition.
That man just had goose pimples.
The senses. Everything is
Look,
so
glad.
at the moment, and here suddenly it's a feast for the eyes.
Glad.
These icons that you see are the survivors of what is left. Had the museums not saved them, they wouldn't be existing today. There used to be millions
So
of these
imagine how much
icons,
they
but now only
buried.
50,000 of them are within sight. The unveiling of these icons is a powerful testament to the enduring strength of truth. The authenticity of these paintings compels us to re-evaluate our understanding of the past, particularly regarding the presence and representation of black figures. For centuries, these figures may have been shrouded in obscurity, but their rediscovery sheds light on previously untold stories, standing as a challenge to long-held assumptions, prompting us to rewrite history with a more inclusive lens. Many Russian icons were destroyed or sold abroad by agents of the Soviet government. Some were hidden to avoid destruction, or were smuggled out of the country.
Shout out to them.
Since the fall of communism, numbers of icon painting studios have again opened and are painting in a variety of styles for the local and international market. Many older, hidden icons have also been retrieved from hiding, or brought back from overseas.
Wow.
The Castile Senate.
I don't know why everybody is all of a sudden confessing their sins and wrongdoings, but do y'all see the people over in Jerusalem, those priests who are literally worshiping and kissing the slab of where Jesus was crucified, and they have this picture of Jesus that they are literally worshiping and doing all this prayer with, and the damn picture is black, honey. And then I'm looking and they got another festival that's going on in Jerusalem where they are also worshiping a black Jesus. The only people who are still fucking around is the goddamn Vatican, where the Pope is sitting up there with a picture of white Jesus on his shirt, but even still he look a little Middle Eastern. I'm about to show y'all, but my point is, if the world is finna end and y'all think black people is finna save y'all, we not finna save y'all. I find it suspicious. I find it very weird that after Putin comes out and he's like, hey y'all, we got this vote, these people, yeah, after he basically showed us they were stealing and hiding artifacts, whatever, now everybody want to worship black images of Christ and Israelites. I have never seen the people who be talking about we are the real Jews. I have never seen them on the podcast. Why are they all of a sudden now on the podcast? And I've been getting so much fucking backlash. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe the amount of people telling me that the color of Christ don't matter. This is a holy ceremony in Jerusalem. That is the slab where Jesus Christ was crucified. They have that. Look at that picture. What color does Jesus look like? See y'all. Because he damn sure don't look like the Michelangelo Machiavelli white person I've been seeing. And please, y'all, please, because this is blowing my mind. Something is up. Something is up. I honestly believe that we are like the age of Aquarius, bro. Everything is being exposed. And the fact that it took for another country to say, hey, y'all lying to these people are different. I don't know. Is black people the only people who can fight the evil? I don't know, but it's a little late to try to get on our good side. And for all of y'all who's saying it don't matter, it matters. It fucking matters. Especially how I grew up being called the N-word daily, shoved into lockers, had to sue my high school to graduate. White people mess with me so bad. And I still love them. I love everybody, no matter what the skin color is. But at this moment right now, for people to be trying to come forward with biblically correct information after hiding it for years.
If you have 1 ounce of racism in your body and think you're going to make it to heaven, you've been completely misunderstood and mistaken. Because I'm telling you right now that Jesus was black. All the people in the Bible were black. And you're sitting up here acting as if you're better, treating them like dogs or animals, acting as if they don't exist on this earth, acting like they shouldn't be at the same job as you, or they shouldn't live the same life as you, or even a better life. Yeah, you ain't making it to heaven. I'm sorry to tell you, buddy. The Indians and the black people were here before the Europeans, before the white folk. They owned the land, and then the Europeans wanted to come in and take over. Now, all y'all think you own the world. All y'all think that black people shouldn't be on this earth. But, sorry to tell you, but we all bleed the same blood. And they were here before us. And God, and I mean, Jesus is black. All the people in the Bible, the angels and everything were black. So you better get your minds right, act right, and start loving everybody. Quit with this hatred. Quit with this racism. Quit with all of this nonsense. It don't make any sense. Like, grow the freak up. Grow up. You're not going to make it to heaven. You are not going to make it to heaven if you do not have love for everybody. And Jesus died for you and he was black. And y'all are hating on black.
She is absolutely right. We need to love each other. Not because of the color of your skin, because we're all human beings. The color of your skin should not matter. How someone treats you, the respect someone gives you, the kindness in one's heart. Those should be the only things that matter. The high vibration, the high frequencies, those the things that matter. You're blinded by this race. You're blinded by the color of someone's skin. It's only going to get you one place, and that's not heaven. Now let's continue.
People, y'all need to get your minds right. Get it right.
What my ancestors did 400 years ago, when they took your African ancestors into slavery, they rewrote your Bible. And in doing so, they changed your Messiah's name. And they are keeping the black man mentally enslaved to the white master, Jesus Christ. That is not your Messiah. That is not your king. The true king is the black Hebrew king, Yahushua. And his father is Yahuwah. And his father's spirit is Ruach HaKodesh. That is the truth. And it is true. If you don't love Yah's people, you don't love Yah.
Wrapping up this video, his chosen people are the black people who were sent on slave ships. You need to bless them if you even want to be blessed on this earth. And if you even want to be saved and make it into the next earth, you need to cling to this truth. And even metaphorically and even literally, cling to them.
So now I showed how the ancient Egyptians were black. And also in Exodus 2:19, Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian. In Acts 21:38, Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian. So in order for these Israelites to be mistaken for black Egyptians, they themselves had to be.
Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
So the Bible says his head and his hair, meaning the hair on his head and the hair on his face, were white like wool. Now, what does wool mean? Give me the next book. Give me the book on wool. Put it up on the screen. I sent you a book. It's right next to the Jesus. Where are you going? The other way. Yeah, this is the cover of the book. Yeah, that's right. I did that on purpose. Now go to the page, next page that shows you the word wool. Nope, that ain't it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Can you read that?
Yes, sir. Our common enemies in America call frizzle or curly hair on the head of an African wool.
And not of an African wool. It says African, comma, wool. Our common enemies in America call frizzle or curly hair on the head of an African wool.
And don't you black people ever forget one thing. The man.
Black church is the last step before black people can get out of slavery.
it's the last like stop, you know what I mean? Like the train is leaving, they're off the plantation, great, they're voting, excellent, you know what I mean? But like they gotta leave the church or they stay sucked in. And that's incredibly difficult because, and here's why, historically speaking, Black churches actually are closer to spirituality than, say, their white counterparts in America. That's because the white counterparts in America are heavily they're Protestant, okay? The Protestants didn't want anything to do with that Catholic shit, and the Catholics were all like, the God is divine, I feel God in my body, and sometimes God makes me sin, but I like being in a complicated, guilt-ridden relationship with an invisible man that comes to me in the night. So you can see why the Protestants were really not feeling the Catholics, even though the Catholics were really about that body, the divine God, the sacrament. The Protestants were like, stop, bitch, that's fucking weird. I don't like it. I'd rather just sit in guilt and shame. In fact, I don't want to talk to anybody about how God watches me at night and knows that I'm bad. And if I feel any kind of joy or titillation inside of me, I know that it's the devil. That's what went to America. And so you can see that's really fucking intense. Like the blueprint on there is essentially, I'm not ruled by myself. Somebody else is either always surveilling me because either I feel guilty or I just feel shame. Guilt is weird because you can be in a fucked up sexual relationship with guilt, which is why Catholicism has a lot of sexual tension to it. Whereas like Protestantism, specifically Calvinism, the Calvinist man, they just sit in shame. There is no, like feeling anything, like emotions are the devil. And both of these different groups have some illiteracy going on, right? When it comes to what is and is not healthy emotions running through the body, like, right? Like we don't have a lot of conversation at this point in time in Europe, let alone America, about emotional regulation and the nervous system. You start saying things like that back then and people will fucking kill you for speaking in devil tongues, you know? Like, what are you talking about? Now, let's move to Black church. Black people actually brought spirit back into the church without it being sexual. Hey, listen, I don't know anybody's personal experiences. I'm just speaking about the overall. Gospel music, right? It brings divinity in without guilt. You're supposed to. And the reason why is because Black people were enslaved. So they were literally praying to God for freedom and liberation, whereas everyone else was praying to figure out how to emotionally regulate while also being abused and sexually abused and mentally, emotionally abused in households using God as the reason why, right? Like they were oppressed, but they also but they were also oppressing other people. Okay. So they weren't oppressed and just suffering the oppression of others in a foreign world where they've been kidnapped. They went into this willingly. These are beliefs that they have, not ones that are forced upon them. So praying for liberation is something that brings you towards divinity. Praying for whatever odd schemes you've got going on keeps you in a loop. And that's the difference between, say, the white churches that are heavily Protestant in nature. Now, their Protestantism has diluted and moved into other things. You've got Presbyterians, you've got Baptists, Methodists, and then you've got Mormons, right? These are all just like the same vein of the Protestant coming out of Europe from the Lutheran times. You get what I'm saying? Coming all the way slowly, making its way farther and farther and farther away from the source. The farther it gets from the source, the less creative it is. That's why when you look at them Protestant people, anytime you look at a white person, they ain't got no color, no nothing going on. It's all gray and quiet and still and calm and control and silence. That's that Protestantism on high, because any type of stimulation is a trigger point for them because they never learned emotional regulation or nervous system regulation, because a lot of their practices are just abusive. And if you are emotional or you have a nervous system that's awake in an abusive space, you become what they hate the most, which is Catholic. The Black church negates all of that. Okay? It's in a little sect of its own. Okay? It's neither Protestant, it's not Catholic. It's something that people can't quite put their fingers on. And gospel music at this point has completely changed the shape of America. Gospel music is American music. All American music comes from gospel music. Now, that's the beauty of it, right? The problem with it is that all these people still pray to the God that that the question that all kids come up with, all black kids, is why do we it seems like God allowed us to be enslaved and brought here and in captive. Why would you pray to a God who does that? And I'm going to leave a link down below to the creator Mindy, who sparked this conversation, because she told a story about, she asked that question to her mom, and her mom said, well, sometimes just like when you have kids, you really, you do everything that you can to get them to do the right thing, and then when they don't, you just have to like break out a belt and beat the shit out of them, to get them to do the right thing. That's that cognitive dissonance that exists in the black church that has to be removed. It's that story. That is not true. That's white people. That's praying to a white man and calling him God. That's praying to a white man and calling him God. The reason why black people are on this continent is a lot to do more than the transatlantic slave trade. There were already West Africans over here interacting with other people, Asians, that were here for a very long time. I think Asians plus like some other groups of people. Like, you have to understand, humans have been developing for a really long time. White people came along and then like figured out human development. No. They were coming out of the dark ages. People have already been building civilizations and living like, your modern day life right now. While you have a phone, and it's a very specific modern time. It's the modern day era from the white viewpoint. There were other modern day eras just like this: indoor plumbing, nice civilization, food, blah, 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 blah. But from a different viewpoint, from the minds of people that weren't white. And I mean white specifically. The construct and the ideology that was born out of Portugal, that isn't even historical. Like, that's not old. That's still fairly fucking new. That was like the 1500s, guys. 500 something, 600 years, okay, is a blip in human time, okay? Marcus Aurelius, I have his book, Meditations, on my shelf. He was around 2,000 years ago. I got a book about Cleopatra over here. She was around 2,000 years ago. So 600 years ago, coming up with a concept to understand people. Guys, Alexandria was the global tourist hub of ancient Egypt. Had died because the Ptolemies, Cleopatra and her family and shit like that, they took over. They were Greek. Ancient Egypt had died before the Greeks got there. But ancient Rome, Alexandria, this was a popping place. Culture everywhere. Adventure, destruction, creation. So much was happening in a city that was well developed. Civilization, many different like universities, all sorts of stuff. Civilization in the modern day as we know it today is about the same as it was years ago. Just totally different, because it's a different iteration. It's seen through the eyes of different types of people with different visions. White specifically from like the Portugal concept that came out so that they could justify all of the imperialism and all the crazy shit, was to me a last-ditch effort for the far west to be able to participate in the global economy like everyone else was. And their participation, because nobody wanted to participate with half of their fucked up shit, then they had to invoke violence. And invoking violence on others, as you can tell, as a way to get them to do what you want to do, is not godly. Nature doesn't invoke violence upon you. Nature just moves, and either you move with it or you don't, but it's your choice. Only whiteness beats the shit out of you, calls that God, and says one day you'll understand. Last time I checked, okay, it takes a person to put you in chains, not a spiritual entity. You, the spiritual entity, you put yourself in chains when you, like, you condition yourself to believe and think a certain way. You can imprison yourself, but that still requires you to choose to imprison yourself. So that's what the black church has to leave behind, the idea of white Jesus. And I mean, we've been saying that for a very long time. My family, I was never raised Christian. My biological father tried to at one point in time, and I don't think that worked out very well. I mean, I just mean like it didn't work out well. Also, funny enough, I tend to have a lot more divinity and divine conversations and insight on that stuff, even as a young child, than people who were practicing it. And so it would oftentimes freak them the fuck out because they appeared more devil-like than I did in my own cognitive understanding. But that's because I wasn't raised Christian. So, yeah, get rid of white Jesus. That shit's not cute. Okay, bye.
Sometimes God will pull you away to build you in the dark where no one sees. The wilderness isn't punishment.
They gave us their God. They gave us their Jesus. They gave us their religion. We praying and calling on their God, calling on their Jesus to help us out of the situations that we're in. And nothing is happening, nothing is working. That's because we cannot worship their Jesus, their God. Because their Jesus, their God ain't ours. The person that they call Jesus, black people don't know him. There's no way that we can be worshiping somebody that don't look like us. But that's what they tell us to do. They give us their Bible and tell us to follow these rules. What rules are you expecting us to follow? The rules that tell us that we're supposed to obey our master? Those rules? No, thank you. I am the same as you. I refuse to bow down to another man. I refuse. You are the same as I am. I am the same as you. And if you think otherwise, then remove yourself, because I will. Right? We don't believe in their religion. We don't believe in their God. We don't believe in their Jesus. He does nothing for us, black people. Yeah.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. This is the most important thing you'll learn. Teach it to your children and make sure they teach theirs.
A lot of black folks don't go for this black Jesus at all. Been praying to a white Jesus all their lives. This is their Jesus, and no activist of the moment is going to come along and rip that imagery out of their soul.
After this service, go and make inquiry. Who is my grandfather? Who are my ancestors? Look for their picture. Laminate their picture. Remove this picture from your house and hang their picture there. Their soul shall bless you. The next time a man of God tells you that they want to remove the idol in your father's house, make sure that the idol in his altar, he has removed it. Viewers all over the world, look at me and my church member. Who is this? Jesus. Viewers all over the world, see me and my African brothers and sisters. Who is this? Satan. How is that Satan? And that is Jesus.
I called him Satan because he has a horn. And he's black. His horn, he has a horn and he's black.
Oh, Satan is black.
That's how they show us.
Satan was a messenger of God in heaven. And he was leading the praise team in heaven. That is according to your Bible. It's a Lucifer. He was the one that was leading the praise. Let me ask you a question. If you were God, can you allow a thing like this to come and lead? So how was a man like this going to be leading praise in heaven? Brothers and sisters in Africa, if you go to so many churches in Africa today, you will see this picture. I'm not even going far. In your house, if you have this picture in your house, lift up your hand. Or any Jesus picture, lift up your hand. So why did you believe that this is Jesus? Because a white man described Jesus like this, and you believe. Some even go to this picture and kneel down because they believe that this is Jesus. If you go back to your house today, where you put this picture, bring it out. Look for a picture of your parents, whether they are dead or alive. Put it there, you shall be blessed. There are so many of you in your house, where you are in your house, the picture of your ancestor is not even there. You don't, if I ask you describe your grandfather, you can't describe him. But you carry a picture for a man that you don't know.
In your sober sense, do you think there is a white man who can die for?
So no, that's a lie. Jesus was not a white man. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, which is in Judea, which is modern day Israel and Palestine, which is in the Middle East. I just gave you a whole road map, which is in the Middle East. So he's not from Europe. Now we know that. We know that he's a Middle Eastern man, according to evidence of the Bible. So it wasn't a white man that died for us. It was the Son of God, Jesus. Now let's talk about ancestors then again. When Jesus roamed the earth in physical form, like me and you, when he walked the very same earth that me and you walk, he performed the miracles that he claims to be able to perform in the Bible after he's gone, doesn't he? He does. Now let's talk about your ancestors. When they lived, breathed, and walked the earth, they had no powers to do all of these things that you now say they can do. Why is that? Could it be because they are not gods? Exactly. So these people walked the earth that me and you walk, and they had no powers to do so. They don't just magically die and then gain powers. Do you get what I'm saying? So you have a lie that you are telling to your congregants, which is funny that you even have a congregation to believe to begin with, because you don't believe in the Bible, so why do you have a church? What's the function of your church? Because I saw in one of your videos there was a whole John something in the back of your pulpit. So you are here spewing lies on people about the Bible. You're here misleading people. It's not enough that you are misled. You decide to mislead the rest of the people. So no, Jesus was not a white man. Christianity in Africa is not a product of colonialism, because now we know that Christianity was in Africa way before colonialism even began. Apartheid in South Africa began in 1948. Christianity had long been a part of Africa by then. If you don't believe me, look up the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Look up King Isam, the king of Ethiopia at the time. Look it up. Prove me wrong. Come on. Exactly.
We were in Owerri. A lot of our people in Owerri said in Igbo land right now, there is a movement of young people to abandon Christianity and go back to traditional worship.
Preach, Pastor
The
Abel.
movement is strong. A lot of young people are leaving church to go back to shrine, to go back to idol worship, that because they don't understand this white man Jesus.
He is absolutely right. The younger generation is awakening, are looking at a broader perspective of things. They're digging into the lies, the deceit, the layers and layers of untruth. They're peeling back that onion and realizing and seeing what's true for themselves. Things that our parents and grandparents and their grandparents didn't do. They're looking deeper. They're searching for their own answers instead of just the answers given to them. Now let's continue.
They don't understand this white people Bible. They don't understand it. But at least they know that the idols in their village took care of their ancestors. They took care of their great-grandfathers. They took care of their fathers. They want to all go back to African worship where their ancestors were. I also heard that it's not just in Igbo land alone. Somebody called me in UK, one of my daughters in the faith. She said, Papa, we have a crisis all over Africa and all over the world. African young people have come up with a movement that is building momentum to abandon the Bible of the white man and go back to African roots. I'm shouting. People say I'm shouting.
Shout,
the kind
Pastor
of
Abel.
Jesus that is preached in many churches cannot be explained from the Bible. And a lot of young people have very intelligent questions that pastors are not answering. It makes the Bible look like a concoction of some people for their advantage.
It's time to have an uncomfortable conversation. Some things that I didn't like when I was in Ghana is seeing this white Jesus statue everywhere you look. Everywhere you look, you see a white Jesus. I personally don't like it at all. To me, it signifies that Africans are inferior and white Jesus and white people are more superior. I don't like seeing it. This is one thing that it really bothered me when I was in Ghana and I saw this white Jesus everywhere. This is just another effect of colonialism that I do not like. Let me know your thoughts below.
Everybody says Jesus' color don't matter, but only black people actually really adhere to that rule. We took a white Jesus and didn't trip. Go try to take a black Jesus in a white church. Just try it. Just go do it on any day you want to do it. Just walk. Hey, excuse me. Do y'all think Jesus' color matters? And they're going to be like, no, son, of course not. It's all about God. Then, all right, cool. I got this picture of Jesus.
Say less.
It looked like, you know what I'm saying, early Michael Jackson, you get your boom.
Yep. Yep.
Well, since it don't matter, one of you guys can hang this up there. You know what I'm saying? Just to prove that we're all equal in this thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Son, if you don't get the hell out of here, playing with your God's time like that, no, that ain't gonna work.
Right.
So I feel like Jesus was the first test. Like, people was customizing their God. You know what I'm saying? The Pope decided to make his son the picture of Jesus. You feel me? And so, like, AI got to go through the Jesus test.
Yeah.
That's
The first slave ship to arrive in Africa was called Jesus. My question is, did Jesus come to save or enslave? Your Honor, black people, like the Bible, have been translated into over 600 languages, transcribed not only by God's chosen, but by colonizers who took the Bible out of context the way they took black folk out their continent, spray-painted, tainted scripture on our suffering, said, servant, obey your master. So we bowed our heads, not in protest, but in prayer. Heard God say, for I know the plans I have for you, to prosper you and not to harm you. Then why is it blinding to be black and believer? Why ghost write a white God to hunt black gods? Behold, I am coming like a thief in the night. Who knew the second coming would be a trip to Africa? To ship families to the promised land of the free. Free if you fit in. Free if you don't fight back. Free if you forget you were taken. If my body is holy book, Your Honor, then it is no coincidence the Bible is the most stolen, the most sold. When will truth spill out your mouth?
I'm going to say this one time for all the Pan-Africanists, African spiritualists, Kemetic community, Hebrew Israelites, etc., etc., etc. in my comment. Okay, so if you actually read this book in its context from start to finish, you would not arrive at a white Jesus, nor would you arrive at a white Christianity. I'm really tired of this being regurgitated in my comments and in other black Christians' comments because it's just intellectually dishonest. If you read this book, you truly read this book, you would arrive at a Hebrew, brown, Jewish man, Jesus Christ, who was a carpenter, who worked on the very thing he would hang on years later for our sin, died the death we should have died because he lived a life we couldn't live, and we have the opportunity to be resurrected with him. My thing is, I think it's obvious as to why slave masters would not want us to Christ, who was a carpenter, who worked on the very thing he would hang on years later for our sin, died the death we should have died because he lived a life we couldn't live, and we have the opportunity to be resurrected with him. My thing is, I think it's obvious as to why slave masters would not want us to read this book. So saying that Christianity is a function of white supremacy, I think is white supremacy, because they didn't want us reading this. There's a reason that we were illiterate. There's a reason that we didn't know things like there's no Jew or Gentile in Christ Jesus. There's a reason that our ancestors still turned to Jesus when they found out about Jesus. There's a reason that there's a whole book in here called Philemon where Paul writes and says, hey, I'm sending your slave back to you, but receive him as a brother. Like, there's a reason that they did not want us to know the stories that are in this word, because if we knew the stories that were in this word, we would know that our value is intrinsic, that we are image bearers, that Jesus Christ didn't only come to die for white people, but he very clearly came to die for Jews first and for us. So this is just, again, intellectually dishonest. Second thing is, just because something predates something, is older, does not mean that it's necessarily true. Somebody said, oh, you need to go back and look at all the different Kemetic religions. And even if I were to concede the point that there were other African spiritual religions that predated Christianity, even though we know that Christianity was in Ethiopia and large parts of East Africa before places in Europe, even if I were to concede and still man and say, okay, yeah, there were other religions older than Christianity that we practiced until colonialism, just because those religions existed prior to us hearing about Christianity does not mean that those religions are necessarily true. And if you were to read this book, you would see that there's a very similar historical narrative in the Bible where people are worshiping false idols, false religions. God plucks Abraham out of the nations and says, I'm going to create a nation through you, and through your lineage, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is going to incarnate and save all of mankind. So even in the word, there's a time where other religions predate Jesus coming. So that is not proof. Validity is textual criticism. Validity is other historical documents corroborating the stories of the Bible that aren't in the Bible. Validity is the 500 eyewitness accounts that saw Jesus Christ after he resurrected from the dead. People saw him get up. Like, this is what we hang our faith on, because God doesn't necessarily require a blind faith. He left us a paper trail. And so to come in Black Christians' comments and continue to act like we're uneducated, we don't know our word, we don't know our culture, we don't know our history, again, is just dishonest, and it's ingenuine. And the reality of the matter is that if you're promoting this idea that Christianity is white supremacy, you're probably more aligned with slave masters than you actually think you are. So stop, and please come to know Jesus, the real Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth.
That do you believe that Jesus died for us?
The day I'll see a white man dying for a black man, then I'll believe in the white Jesus dying for black people. As far as I'm concerned, the black man is still hanging on the cross, surrounded by the two thieves on the left and on the right. These are the Europeans and the Chinese who are busy crucifying Africa on the same cross. We cannot even talk about the death of Jesus. Let's talk about the dying of Africa constantly. Let's not create theology of poverty and misery and glorify the death of Jesus when our brothers and sisters are still dying. The death of Christ, therefore, is a symbolic death, the death of truth, the death of the poor, the death of the marginalized, the death of the children of the soil. And if religion is used to pacify that, then that is the doctrine of demons.
Which makes a lot of sense. How can you call yourself religious? How can you call yourself a man or woman of God and you hate others because of their skin tone, because they're different than you, because they think different than you, because they act different than you, because they're not you? It doesn't make sense. Now, some people do have a point. You're using a white God as a way to create division and interpret it the way you want to interpret it to justify your actions, good or bad. That's not right. Not at all. God was here, he wouldn't see color. He would see a people. He would see who was his followers. He wouldn't care if you were white, if you were black, if you were Asian, if you were Mexican. That wouldn't matter to him. But yet, you have people who will use him for hate, will misinterpret his word for hate and to create hate on a specific group of people. Those are not real Christians. Those are the blind following the blind. And their time will come. The time is coming.
For he came to set the captives free. And until Africa is free, there's no Jesus who has died on the cross. We are still dying to date. It cannot take one man to save the whole world. Yet we have 20 million Africans who drowned in the sea during slave trade. Is this God not tired of drinking blood? How much more blood does he need? Can you look at Congo? Give me the 15 million that died, plus the 25, 35 million. Calculate all the wars that have been fought in Africa. How many more millions? You tell me that all this blood that has been spilled is worth nothing, except the blood of one man who hung on a cross. So theology must not be used to create a sympathy for the white man. Theology must be used to evoke the African to start thinking, have we come down from the cross yet? Or the Romans, they have not changed. They're still Europeans. They are still nailing our hands, the style of our work, putting on crowns of thorns on our heads, managing our minds and what we think, piercing our sides, poking our reserves of food and etc., nailing our feet, passports. You cannot travel without this and that. Can you tell me that Jesus died on the cross? The day I see a black man free, I will start talking about Jesus who died for the sins of the world.
How are you spiritually free? How are you spiritually free? You are living the life that your slave master designed for you. And defending it is Stockholm Syndrome. And mourning your oppressors is the worst Stockholm Syndrome there is. It's a slap in the face of the ancestors. It's like when Queen Elizabeth died, black people shout, oh, royalty, the queen, oh my God, crying. Do you know who this person is? No, they don't. Because ignorance is bliss, is the lack of knowledge. They're not informed. You don't mourn your oppressors. What? You are ultimate coon, and you don't even know it. Come on, man.
Blacks crying over Queen Elizabeth's death is like white Jews crying over Adolf Hitler's death, or the Congolese crying over King Leopold of Belgium's death.
The day black people will be mentally free and have knowledge of self is when black churches remove paintings of white Jesus. It's like, look at the little kids, right? Little kids are impressionable. Every religion has a God that looks like them, look like their ethnicity. What does the black race have to be inspired by? White Jesus, Caesar Borgia, blonde hair, blue eyes from the Caucasus Mountains. So we lack identity. So until we change all of that, you're just still a mental slave, man.
I am really offended when I go into a lot of churches in America and I see a picture of Jesus on the wall. What's the color of his hair usually? Brown or light dark blonde, right? What's the color of his eyes usually? Often blue, maybe brown. What's the color of his skin? Pretty white, pretty like mine. And I begin to wonder, who are we worshiping here? I go into other churches and I see a picture of Jesus on the wall and there's an American flag right beside it. I'm a proud American. I'm grateful for all the good that this country has done. I'm embarrassed by the evil that it's done at times. But I get a little concerned because I see Jesus and the American flag really tightly woven together. And then we got the other picture of Jesus. You know what that picture is? He's 6'1" white American male who happens to like basketball. Oh my goodness. I happen to be a 6'1" white American male and I really like basketball. What am I doing? I am creating God in my own image. If I create God in my own image as a 6'1" white American male who likes basketball and has the American flag wrapped around him, I am a deceiver. I gotta have the humility to allow God to be God. And Jesus Christ claimed to be God speaking language that I, with my rational mind, can begin to understand.
So they gave you this image, like we just showed you. They opened up our Bible and gave us their images to make us always feel inferior to them. That's why when you look at a black man, first thing you think is, this nigga might be trying to rob you. But it's not quite often we look at each other, or you in another neighborhood, hey bro, where you from? Why does it matter? You'll ask the white man where he from when he come in the neighborhood. But why does it matter where I'm from? Because they done taught us to hate each other. Whether they told you directly, say, look, hate him, they never gonna do that. They're going to show it to you subliminally. So through subliminal imagery of always seeing them in a position of power, they the employer, they the supervisor, they the car salesman, they own the bank, they own the NFL team, they own the NBA team, they own the record label, they Jesus, they God, they Moses. Now subconsciously, whether you know it or not, you think that he God. Because it's been programmed into you. So now we're deprogramming. Jesus was so dark, it looked like he was brass that got burned in fire. So what color is Jesus? He's a black man. And you are an Israelite according to the Bible.
Thank you again for sticking with me through another banger. I know this one here might be a little controversial, but everybody has the ability to make their own determination on what they see and what they hear. Do your own investigation and get the facts for yourself. Don't believe me. Don't believe anybody else. I'm just here to give you some of the information. There's still a lot of digging that we need to do to get to the real truth. So, my people, the OG community, not my people as in my black people, but as in the human beings on this earth, of all shades and all colors. Everybody must do their own digging. Everybody must come to their own understanding of self. So, until the next one, my people, make sure we're hitting that subscribe button. Make sure we're hitting that bell notification and hitting that hype button. Got plenty more videos to come. Thank you, OG community.